Thank you. Vamos a tener un espacio para preguntas en un ratito, pero anotaré su pregunta y ojalá y la puedan contestar ya mientras vaya la presentación.
Slide 3. Hey, we have just a few housekeeping rules. We hope that you will all be respectful of each other on this call. And one way that can happen is if everyone will stay muted. That's just in case you have any background noise, any sudden noises or anything like that. Because we are recording this, we want to make sure we get a really nice recording for people that will be able to be understood. As I mentioned to that woman who was just speaking, we will give you a chance at the end to ask questions, and if you have a question, you want to put it in the chat. If it needs to be answered immediately, we will do our best, but we want to give our presenters a chance to go through all of their materials. As was mentioned, you are welcome to keep your cameras off, but if you'd like, we'd love to see you. So you can make that choice, whether you'd like to have your cameras on or off, but please do keep your computers muted unless you're having trouble typing in the box at the very end when we ask for questions. If you want to raise your hand and ask to be unmuted, we can do that so you can talk.
You ready for slide 4?
Yep. Ready?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. And so I'm going to just introduce the staff. My name is Nancy Stevens, and I am blind, and I have been using Seeing Eye and guide dogs for many, many years. Stephanie Cunningham is our lead program coordinator and volunteer coordinator. And Yami is our bilingual interpreter. We have 3 on staff. And so that is who we are.
Slide 5.
Okay, I'm going to just go through our the different programs that we offer. We're so happy you're all here. Some of you may have heard this before, and if you've gotten our newsletter, you're somewhat familiar, but we offer support for families around special education and help equip them to advocate for their child. We offer connection and one-on-one delivery, one-on-one support to families, one-on-one connection with a family. We have quarterly family fun events. And then we also have, as I mentioned, 3 bilingual interpreters, Spanish interpreters, and all of our interpreters can reach out to the 8 counties that we serve. Jason's Run and Recharge is a new program that we're starting, and we offer support to caregivers once every quarter. We give you a voucher for giving yourself some self-care, and then we offer 2 hours of child care every month. Keep your eye out in our newsletter for more information about Jason's Run and Recharge. We're excited about this program and getting it started. We offer disability awareness trainings in schools, for nonprofit organizations and businesses. We also offer person-centered planning for families and youth with disabilities that gives them the creativity to choose options and live with dignity. Right now, we are also offering emergency preparedness programs where we are helping families in each of our counties prepare for emergencies and to get connected with emergency kits. Systems navigation and advocacy. We support families as they learn to navigate the many systems they encounter throughout their journey with disability. We advocate on a federal, state, and community level. About 60% of what we do is information referral, and we refer families to our community partners and other resources based on what our families tell us they need and what would be helpful to them. We hold monthly youth meetups for youth ages 14 to 26. Those meetups are also listed in our newsletter. In collaboration with Alice Hatch Center, we offer a yearly grant to families who have children under the age of 5. This grant helps families with almost anything that's not covered by insurance. It's up to $400. Now we are going to turn it over to Nikki Greenleaf, and she has been a dog trainer, and she's going to talk about how she trains dogs and some of the services that she provides. Take it away, Nikki.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here tonight. I have a lot of information to share, and I know that there will be questions. So write your questions down, and I will try and answer as many as I can within the time allotted towards the end. As you can see on the slide there, my name is Nikki Greenleaf. I am a dog trainer, and I have moved into specializing in service dogs. I do obedience as well, but all right, let's go ahead and move to the first slide I have there. Stephanie, you can click. I'll say click when I need that. Or did we want, okay, there we go. Okay, great. All right. So I want to be very clear about what a service dog is. So under the Americans with Disability Act, which is a federal program, number one is only dogs are actually considered service animals. You may have heard things about ponies, but we're not going to talk about ponies tonight. And a service animal or dog is one that has been trained to do something specific, to perform a task for someone with a disability. We are going to up next talk about the difference between a service dog versus an emotional support animal versus a therapy dog. So it's very important to understand that a service dog is a dog that performs a task that helps mitigate a disability for someone. Service dogs have public access rights, meaning that they can accompany their handler pretty much anywhere. There's a few exceptions, like they can't go to jail with their handler, things like that. A public school is considered a place of public access. So we will cover a little bit about a service dog in school as well. I put the link at the bottom there of where you can go to look up more information on the actual service dog laws. I encourage people to do that so you have a good understanding. Okay, let's move to the next slide here. Great. So if you are looking at this, hopefully you can see the little infographic that I put here, but this talks about the difference between a service dog, a therapy dog, and an ESA, which is an emotional support animal. Go ahead and click, Stephanie. You might have to do it twice. Okay, so the most important information here is that, as I just discussed, the service dogs have public access rights. They are not considered just pets. They are a working dog. So that is a very big distinction, is that they are doing work for someone. Whereas an emotional support animal, click. Thank you. Emotional support animal or an ESA is a pet. It does not have public access rights. This has been very confusing lately because a lot of people have been abusing the service dog title, and they want their dog companion with them, and so they say it's a service dog when in fact it's not trained to do a specific task to mitigate their disability. It's really just their pet that helps them feel better, which is understandable. Our pets are there to help us feel better, but an ESA does not have public access rights. What an ESA can do is that they can help you get into a living situation if there's a no pet policy. Click. Service dogs, they may ride in the cabin of a plane with the handler, whereas ESAs cannot. That changed, I think it was last year. The ESAs used to be able to go in the cabin of a plane for free. That is no longer the case. It has to be a service dog to be able to go into the cabin of a plane. And if you're going to fly with a dog, you just need to look at that airline's policy, their pet policy. To a lot of airlines will allow a really small animal that can fit into a soft carrier onto the plane with you. If it is a service dog, no matter what the size, they can come on with you. Of course, that can be challenging for people that have service dogs that are large breeds. Click. And then, as I said before, tenants with ESAs and service dogs, of course, can not be denied housing if they have an ESA and the landlord has a no pet policy. They cannot deny someone who has typically it's a letter from a therapist or a doctor saying that this animal is your emotional support animal. And of course, they cannot deny you if you have a service dog. And then just a real quick note on a therapy animal is therapy animals are specifically used to go to places to provide comfort and support for people. So like the hospital or a home for the elderly, or sometimes maybe day treatment facilities, things like that. They have the right to go into those facilities, but they don't have general public access rights like a service dog does. They also do not allow you into housing under the Fair Housing Act. So that is very different. It's important to know that a therapy dog, while it does have a job and it has some public access, it is really just for giving comfort to others, and then the handler takes it back home. Okay. Okay, great. So as I said before, it's through the Americans with Disability Act, and these are the most important parts of the laws that I educate people on when they are a service dog handler. When you go into public, and go into an establishment, they may ask you two questions. They can ask, is your dog a service animal or service dog required because of a disability? And when you say yes, they can ask what task the dog has been performed or has been trained to perform. They cannot ask for a demonstration. They cannot ask for medical proof. They cannot deny you service because of your service dog. They cannot treat you differently. They can't put you in a special seating because you have a service dog, or they can't, ostracize you basically because you have a service dog. They cannot ask for a service dog identification card. And I wanted to just touch on that real quickly. So there is no nationally regulated certification program for service dogs. This is where it gets a little fuzzy. This is why it becomes abused. That you see certification programs online that will send you a little ID card and a picture of your dog, and it looks very official, but they are not official at all. They do not allow you any more rights than any regular service dog handler and owner. So really it was a way for people to make money, and they do make money off of it, but it is pretty much just a sales gimmick. Those programs, they never meet the dog. They do not evaluate them. They do not test them. They just go off of the package that you pay for, and that's it. So as a service dog trainer, I do get a little bit sensitive about the fact that this is abused, that people will get these little certifications and say it's a service dog. And then you go into a place and you've got a dog reacting to people, jumping on people, barking, reacting to other dogs, and behaving in a way that does not meet service dog standards. So, I just, when I educate people, I ask them to, please think very carefully about, if you want to bring your dog in with you and it's not a service dog, to just remember that that really affects those who actually do have service dogs. And again, if you do have a service dog and you're asked to present a certification, you do not need to have a certification that proves that it's a service dog. Okay. Great. We're going to talk a little bit more about the service dogs in schools, and you will get to hear from Jill and Savvy about their journey in getting Savvy's dog Tundra into school. But there's a few things that you should know. Yeah, go ahead and click there, Stephanie.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a quick question? This is Nancy.
Yeah.
Will you be jumping into also talking about how do families decide whether to get a dog or not, and some of that? Okay, I just want to make sure we don't run out of time, because I think that's super important.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that as well. Okay. So Stephanie, if you want to just click till there's 4 bullet points. Yeah, that's fine. Great. We'll catch up there. Okay. A few things you need to know when you're having a service dog in the school is that the dog needs to be up to date on immunizations, and those records will need to be given to the school. In Ben Lapine, it's the school district nurse. It is important to remember that the student is responsible for handling the dog at all times. The school is not ever expected or required by law to provide assistance in handling the dog. You can, of course, if there's concerns, you can set up support systems and have that written into your IEP. But we cannot expect teachers, support staff, administrators, or anyone that's employed by the district to be handling the dog. And because it is a service dog, they shouldn't be handled by other people other than the owner or handler. It is really, really important to have clear written expectations between the school, the student, and the family on how everything will be handled. For example, when and where will the dog go to the bathroom? Will a water dish be accessible all the time? Go ahead and click the next 3 clicks. Great. A dog is a dog. Sometimes they suddenly have unexpected bathroom issues. Could be upset tummy, could be induced by higher stress than usual, things like that. So just having a plan on what to do if that happens. And then, of course, setting up expectations with other students and students in the school. Some families I've heard of have actually hired someone to be an aide for their child to help handle with the dog handling. I think that was more of a private school situation, but you never know. You could always ask if that's something that you wanted to do as a family. I would not expect a school to say yes, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And then, of course, it really, to go into something like this, it is going to help to already have an IEP set up instead of going through that process and trying to bring a service dog into the IEP at the same time that a child's going through the IEP assessment. So it definitely helps to, at the very least, have a 504, but to have an IEP is the most helpful to begin. Okay. Now we will touch on, is a service dog right for us? There's a lot to think about. If you already have a dog or experienced with dogs, then you'll understand that a dog is an animal and a service dog is an animal. It is not a robot. And there are many things that are required for the care and upkeep of a dog. So, of course, the expense of acquiring a service dog, we will look at that. We will look at that further. The expense of keeping a dog, just basically maintenance and prevention care, yearly checkups, immunizations, veterinarian bills for teeth cleaning, unexpected illnesses or injuries and emergencies, which, as anyone who has a pet knows, that can really add up at a vet clinic. So that's where I kind of come in here in a minute about insurance. Who will be the primary handler? If you're working with a small child, that is usually not the small child that's going to be the primary handler. Usually it's the parent, and we train the kiddo along with the dog on what to do. Is your family ready for a dog if you don't already have one, or if you have one and want to add and are willing to add another? These are really things to reflect on. It's a big responsibility. Are there other dogs in the house? How is that dog? How does that dog work with if you brought one in? Just for the sake of time, I'm going to skip down just a little bit and say, should we pay for pet insurance? People ask me that a lot. I will say that insurance companies are improving, and that really comes down to comparing prices and coverages between multiple insurance companies. So you want a company that's going to do well checks, teeth cleanings, things like that, and also cover catastrophic issues. All right, and then you can read the rest, but really it's a lot of thinking, write down pros and cons to decide if you're ready for this. Okay, looking at how do you get a service dog? A lot of people don't know where to start. So a few options I've laid out. You can go online and find a service dog school for the type of service you are needing. The pros and cons of that. So the pros, dogs come trained. There's less work up front for you, the owner, and the dog will be selected for you. The cons of that is that the dog can be trained and come to the owner and they don't bond. It happens. And I've had a client that happened with, and it didn't work out because the client just couldn't seem to bond with the dog. The training schools are extremely expensive. They have very long wait lists, and a lot of the training schools are not reputable. You have to research them very thoroughly. Look for any potential lawsuits. Don't just rely on reviews. They can offer a very pretty looking package, and then but you can still end up with a dog that is not well trained. So you have to do a lot of research to make sure that the school is reputable. Another option is to work with a dog trainer. Research your trainer, ask for references, look at social media videos that they've put out of work they've done, ask how they became a trainer. Find out what experience they have. Have they worked under another trainer? Do they have a mentor? All of those things are important to ask. A lot of trainers will say that they can train your service dog when really they don't have the experience. And so you end up spending a lot of money for a dog that's either partially trained or has to be completely retrained later down the line. If you don't have a dog that would already qualify as a service dog, then the trainer can help search for the right dog. I've actually been able to place service dogs that have been rescues, which is always a win-win. But it's few and far between. The owner and the dog become bonded faster, and the owner learns a lot of training skills. And since training is needed to continue often, throughout the life of the dog, it's great to have those skills already under you, and it helps you build confidence as a handler. It is less expensive, usually, depending on how much work you, the handler, put in. The more consistent you are with the dog, the better outcome you're going to have. The con of that is a lot of families don't feel like they have the time or energy to put in the amount of consistency that is needed for training. So again, that goes back to, are we ready for a service dog if you're wanting to be part of the training process? I put searching for the right dog as a pro and a con. It can be great to search for a dog. It can also be time consuming and emotionally taxing when you go through many dogs until you find the right one. That can be difficult. Just so you know, a lot of people have a dog and they say, I already have a dog. The dog is so great. They're wonderful. I think they're ready to be a service dog. Most of the time, the dog will not pass the evaluation for the standard of a service dog. Just because one person loves and sees all the great things about their dog does not mean that that dog is of service dog quality. It's a very, very high standard. So people say, oh, I already have a dog. And I say, well, it'll need to be evaluated first. And the hard part is saying, I'm sorry, but your dog is fantastic, but not service dog quality. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. 2 more slides here. So cost. These are generalizations. Training schools run 20 to 40,000. A down payment is expected. Owner trainer, I had to generalize this as well. It really depends on the trainer, and the amount of service that is needed. Are they helping you find a dog? Are they, is the dog completely untrained? Do they have to start from scratch, or does it already come with some skills? So there's a lot of factors that go into the cost of the dog. Depending on what your dog would be needing, what service they would be needing to provide, the process for training a service dog is typically about 2 years. But again, that depends. If you start with a puppy, you're looking at least 2 years. If you start with a 1-year-old dog, you may have a year to 1.5 years or 2 years. It really just depends on the dog, where they're at, and what services they provide. And a quick note on puppies. I do not typically recommend that someone gets a puppy to raise it as a service dog. The difference between a puppy and an adolescent dog can be night and day. So we can have a fantastic puppy that's doing well, that hits adolescence and does a 180 and can no longer be used. So I recommend looking for a dog that's about a year old, no more than 2 years old, so that we know the true temperament of the dog now that they've hit adolescence and are moving into adulthood. Okay, and so looking at the last slide here, I know those costs can be very overwhelming to look at. So I wrote out a few ideas here. Of course, if you have the money to afford a service dog, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. There are nonprofits out there that can help, that you can apply for scholarships to. I recommend looking for a nonprofit that is specific to the service that is needed. So a nonprofit that's specific to epilepsy or specific to cerebral palsy or something in that range, just looking for something, they're usually the ones that are going to help be able to give some money towards this. Of course, asking family for help. Some families will do online donation platforms such as GoFundMe. In rare cases, you could potentially get insurance to pay. It's rare and it's a fight, but it has happened. And you just need a huge support network behind you of doctors and everything else that is needed. And it depends on your insurance. They're going to say no at least the first 5 times. So just know that. But some people have made it work. And then lastly, this is more something personal I put in because this is what I do or have done. I don't know that all trainers will do this, but I'm very open with my clients about my skills for the service there that is needed. And so if I have someone who says, I want a service dog to teach detection for seizures, I'll say, well, I can train your dog up to a certain point. I have the knowledge on how to do scent work, but I haven't actually trained a seizure detection dog. And so I will work with the family at a very, very reduced cost, with them knowing that I'm learning as well. So it is worth asking a trainer if you're willing to work with someone who is a little more green. But I am also very upfront with saying I have a master trainer who supports me, and I have other trainers that I can rely on for good information as well. So that is one possibility, is that while a trainer is getting experience, that they can give you a discount, a pretty big discount. So those are my slides, and I'm looking forward to any questions that come up later.
Thank you, Nikki. We really appreciate your information. Now we're going to have Jill Tisdale and her daughter Savvy talk about their story. So take it away, Jill.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill, and this is Savvy.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, and we just wanted to talk about our story and Savvy's story, and then what kind of got us to the point that we're at right now, where Savvy has
A giant
Tundra.
polar bear.
She is a giant polar bear named Tundra, who goes to school with her every day and goes everywhere with her. So I guess starting, Savvy has focal epilepsy, and she was diagnosed when she was 6. And it's kind of had ups and downs with epilepsy, but it got kind of, anyway, it was definitely affecting her quality of life and mobility. And so that was the point that we said, we are going to look into service dogs, and started researching a little bit. And then we just were incredibly fortunate to have our connection with Nikki, and we were able to get a service dog through Nikki and through Argus Service Dogs Foundation, with assistance from an epilepsy foundation that helped financially, family helped financially, and but it was just, we really lucked out in the Savvy goes to school with Nikki's daughter, and so we just were in this kind of community connection. So we really, again, we're very fortunate, and we realize that it's more of a process in other situations, and we did get really lucky. And we've had a process with our service dog. Our service dog process has been lengthy too, and we've had lots of learning curves. Oh yes, you want to show Tundra? Okay, and Tundra is keeping track of Savvy over here on her own couch.
And Jill, would this be a time in Savvy, would you feel comfortable telling us what Tundra does for you when you have a seizure?
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the next slide? And I think that, yeah, that's great. Yeah, Savvy, do you want to talk about the job that Tundra does for you?
Yeah. Tundra's job for me is basically helping me out if I have a seizure, and she makes me feel calmer.
Mhm.
Her also another job is to try and get all the dog food out of the house as quick as possible. But her main job is to help me with my seizures when she comes to me with me at school. And sometimes she's a little frisky during classes, but she's usually sleeping or getting fur all over the ground. So her job's just to
Well,
help me out with seizures.
and the process of Savvy bringing Tundra to school, we started with Tundra here at the house, and then Tundra would go to the sporting event. So she went to soccer with Savvy, and when we were going up to the mountain, she would do that. And then it was the process of Tundra going to school with Savvy. And so kind of like slowly, and maybe not even that slowly, we've incorporated her Tundra into all sorts of events. It was the first time, we flew with her in an airplane pretty early on, and then just it's kind of been building. And this year, Tundra went with you to an overnight field trip, right?
Oh yeah, she did.
And I think there's a moment there that I thought was really kind of the reason we got a service dog, the reason we're doing the things that we're doing. Do you remember when you were hiking?
When?
Savvy was hiking with her class, and they were kind of in a single file line going up this
Oh, that.
mountain area.
Tundra was there.
And Tundra was there.
Yeah, she it was kind of hard for her to keep on the track thing.
But I thought you said
like
you
on it.
felt like you were about to have a seizure.
Yeah, so I stopped, breathed a little bit, and scrunched up Tundra's face, and it felt better.
Yeah, and then you didn't have one, even though you were hiking in that kind of precarious area. And I normally would be pretty nervous about having a seizure in an area where I was there too, but I was like a few kids back, and it just made me feel really good to look up ahead and see that you were able to do this hike, and I didn't need to worry about you because you had Tundra right next to you.
The other
Savvy,
thing
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Savvy.
about Tundra that's really helped me out was that not only does she help me out with my seizures, anxiety and stress also makes me have seizures. And having Tundra there to like nuzzle and fluff her fur around makes me feel calm and safe because she's there. So then that also stops me from having seizures.
Well said.
And Savvy, would you tell us when how the other kids in your class, how do they help advocate for you, and what was it like? I'm going to ask you two questions. What was it like going to 6th grade this year and having a new teacher to work with Tundra?
Going to a new class and having a new teacher to work with Tundra was actually, it was kind of easy, half hard, because we had to show her around the room, and there's a pet snake in the class, Snow. So she had to get adapted to having a pet snake be in the classroom. And she had to know her little space. I sit in the same space every morning. so she knows where she stays over there. And
Smart.
also she likes the new classroom very much. There's like a lot more space and lot less like commotion all over the room.
That's cool. What sorts of things do students do that help you out with Tundra?
Well, the first thing they probably do to help me out with Tundra is just ignore Tundra altogether. So then she doesn't think that she's like still a dog wearing a fancy vest. So the second thing that helps me out a lot with Tundra is the way they act around her. Like around Tundra, they wouldn't be like putting their hands in her face, like trying to get her to lick them or anything like that. They would just like walk and talk at the same time and just talk like about Tundra. They would be like, oh, Tundra's so cute and stuff like that, but they would never try to pet her or anything.
That's
So-
really cool. Sounds like you've really adapted to having her, and she's done a really good job of learning how to be in the classroom and be quiet.
Yeah.
Mhm. Do you want to go on
You're-
to the next slide? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. And I guess we're maybe on to the next one with the school. Yeah. So, Nancy, were you gonna ask another question?
I was just gonna say, I remember last year asking the students how they were gonna help out, and they had said, we will help remind other students not to pet Tundra. Does that still
Yes.
happen? Are they doing good with that?
Yes, especially my closest friends that I hang out with a lot. Like if they see somebody like stroke their hand like kind of even near Tundra, they're like, "Did you pet Tundra?" And they would like let me know if somebody did pet Tundra. So then I knew if they did or did pet Tundra. So
At school, we hear plenty of people say, we just really want to pet her, but we don't.
especially the younger grades.
But Savvy mentioned earlier that who's the worst culprit of accidentally petting Tundra? What age group? Isn't it the adults?
Oh yeah, it's the adults, the teachers.
Oh.
But some of them I actually allow.
Uh-huh.
Some of them, because like the new teachers, like if they're substitutes, I let them say hi to Tundra so she can like recognize that that's another teacher that she should know.
Good job.
And I forgot to mention the other thing that was actually pretty hard about moving into a new class
Okay, transitioning to middle school from
Yeah.
5th grade, yeah.
was the lockers.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the big lockers in those hallways. The way I usually go to class
Mm-hmm.
is I go there, I go and get my stuff from the locker, then I go down, but it's through the cafeteria. And usually there's little like crumbs and stuff on the cafeteria floor. So Tundra's really kind of tempted by that. So I have to just keep walking. So it's kind of distracting for me and for Tundra to get all the way over there. And everybody's like dropping food on the ground sometimes.
And that has been a struggle that Savvy and and that Nikki that they've worked with training is just that confidence, and just keep on walking with her, and she won't be distracted if you keep it up. And Savvy's done an excellent job being a dog handler at school. Do you want to next slide?
It's also very frustrating sometimes, but
it's lots of work. So this was kind of the process that we went through, introducing Tundra at school. And we started with talking to the principal, and then presenting packets of information. And then, but once that process went through, and we did access help from lots of people, including, Nancy and Nikki, helping us out with the process of getting Tundra in the school. But then once that was secured, Savvy and Nancy talked to first the 5th grade class and then the 4th grade class about what a service dog is, and just it was a great educating moment. And then Savvy introduced Tundra, and this slide here shows Savvy introducing Tundra to the entire school. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, it was kind of hard because Tundra, like, she seemed kind of nervous, and I was really nervous because
Yeah.
I was kind of new then. Like, I didn't know a bunch of people.
But that was an important time to just tell everybody at the school what our expectations were for having Tundra. And then it was very helpful to have Nikki helping out with the first day of school with other, with the eyes of how to maneuver through the classroom. And then, for example, the big lockers in the middle school class, it was very helpful for Nikki to point out, like, maybe having a locker on the edge would be best for everybody. And that it's worked so well this year. And I think next slide. Okay. Yeah. And so
This is my 5th grade graduation. Tundra, she did pretty well throughout the whole rest of the school year. Pretty well. And then, like, she just handled the whole thing really great, and I didn't have a bunch of seizures for the rest of that year. Yes, Tundra, we're talking about you. So it was really good. It was a really good year for me, and this year I think it's gonna be even better with Tundra and the VNS. So
yeah. And is it okay for us to show the video then of how Tundra helps you?
yes.
Okay. And I guess before we push play on the video, we'll just say that Tundra is like part of the training that we've done for Tundra. She wears a magnet on her collar, and the magnet is activates a device that Savvy has. It's a vagal nerve stimulator.
It makes my voice sound like this,
It does create a little vibration in the voice, but
like a robot.
but it does help lessen seizures and lessen the duration of the seizure. So if Tundra comes close to her with that magnet on, that's another thing that is what Tundra does to help with seizures, along with the like stability and comfort having her around. So I guess we can go ahead and watch the video then.
Okay, so just so that everyone knows, there is not any sound in this video. This is just showing how Tundra helps with seizures. And after that, we'll make a couple of announcements, and then it'll be time for questions.
Okay. And I guess, we should also say that everybody's seizures look very different. That's one thing that we've learned, that they are so many different. Epilepsy looks really different for different people and different kids. So this is just how Savvy Seizures present. And I think that, is there anything else that you'd like to say, Savvy? Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Tundra would like to add something.
Tundra slept through this entire presentation.
She would like to say if you donate any dog biscuits, she would gladly take them. Also, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Is this a survey slide?
Wait, I was gonna add. And so I'm Nancy, and as I mentioned, I have had seeing eye dogs and guide dogs. And as Nikki mentioned, it's really important if you decide you want to have a service dog as an addition to your family, that you're sure that you can handle it. Dogs need walks every day and they need consistent handling. I still do obedience training with my dog, and I've had her a couple of years now. Not very long, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, but that amount of just working on sit and stay. And then when I take her through the airport, when I say stay, you know, she's practiced it. And so it's really important to keep your training and your handling of your dog really consistent. And if you can't do that because there's lots of family members in the household, lots of pets, then it's something to really strongly consider. And if your child is going to be using a service dog, are there tasks that they can do? Maybe they can help feed the dog every day, because that helps with the bonding process. The more that the person who is going to be using the services of the dog can do for that dog, it's an exchange. I hope that makes sense. The dog recognizes, oh, this person feeds me, and this is the person that I help with their seizures. And the more they can do, maybe they can brush the dog, maybe they can go and take it out, maybe they can go with you when you take it for a walk. Maybe you don't want them to go on their own with the dog, but let them hold the leash with you. Those are all things. And of course you would talk with your trainer too, to make sure that that's going to work. But just being really consistent, being sure that the dog is well behaved when they go into a place of business is really, really important. There's been a lot of advocacy work done by lots of the schools who train dogs, and lots of individuals who use service dogs. And we almost lost our rights to fly with our dogs because of the abuse of people thinking, well, I'll just pretend like my dog is a service animal. We were almost going to have to go to the airport 4 hours early to prove that our dog would behave itself. Well, when you have that kind of issue, then you're talking about needing to find a way to relieve your dog again. And so it is really important to be sure that the services are protected by doing all the correct steps to be sure the dog behaves, that it is performing a task. And there was one other thing I was going to say. And I forgot what it was. If I think of it, I might jump in and add it. Oh, I know. Yes. So when you're traveling, if you do travel and fly with your service dog, and this is way down the road, it doesn't happen immediately. Well, sometimes it does. If you're flying home from school, it does happen immediately. Be sure that you know if the airport has a relieving area. In some of them, airports are getting much better. It used to be that you had to go outside the airport out in front, and that meant you had to go back through security. So you had to give yourself enough layover time to get out of the airport and back in. And now if you can find out if the airport offers service, a relieving area, that's really helpful. My current guide dog actually had to go back for some training. There was part of her work where she was not being very confident, but there was enough of her work that was going really well. So the school actually agreed to take her back and do some retraining for me. I've been missing her terribly, but I get her back tomorrow. I'm super excited about that. So I hope that this training has been helpful and that you have learned a lot about how to ascertain whether a dog would be a great addition to the family and whether it would benefit your child who has a disability. And we hope that you will reach out to Nikki with questions, or if you're looking at schools that you have learned some more about how to do your research to find the right school or right trainer for you. Thank you again for being here. And we now are going to, there's a survey link in the chat box. And if you will click on that link, you can participate in the survey about the training. And one person, you'll be all entered into a drawing, and one lucky person will win a gift certificate. And
I do have a question.
oh, okay. Oh, we do have a question. So
Natalia.
Natalia, do you want to type in your question, or would you like to unmute and ask it?
Hola, buenas tardes.
No.
I can speak English, but my English is too bad. My question is, I have one baby, one neurology lesion for traumatic, for HBC.
Yeah.
And my question
hear.
is,
I can't hear.
Oh, no, I can't hear. Natalia, would
¿No me
it
puede
work?
traducir?
Natalia, would it work for you to type your
Okay.
question in Spanish and put yourself
Buenas
back on
tardes.
mute?
Gracias por dejarme preguntar.
Okay, thank you.
Tengo un niño especial con una lesión neurológica por trauma. Mi niño tiene por esta lesión muchos cambios de humor, no sabe identificar sus emociones, se frustra y tiene ataques de frustración constantes. En su opinión personal, ¿usted cree que un perro de servicio le vendría bien?
Nikki, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, that is a really good question. It depends on how you feel he would do with an animal, with a dog. There are kids who have had a service dog who have a very difficult time with emotional regulation. And there have been some very amazing dogs who can handle that. I'm thinking of one boy in particular that was nonverbal autistic, and he had very little control over himself, and he would lose his temper, and he would actually sometimes hit on the dog. The dog was so amazing. It would not react, and it would wait for the boy to finish, and it never affected their relationship. The dog continued to stay bonded to the boy. That would be a very special type of dog we'd look for, but we would take everything into consideration. If you felt that him having an animal would actually help him calm down and regulate more, then I definitely would advocate for that.
Muchas gracias. Creo que voy a probar esa solución porque he tratado con toda clase de terapias. Terapia ocupacional, terapia de grupo, terapia del aprendizaje y no he conseguido ayudarla a controlar, a regular sus emociones ni su ansiedad. Otro problema que tiene grande es su ansiedad, hasta tal punto que se muerde sus uñas.
Yeah, if we were able to arrange interpretation, I would be happy to give more information on how things that she could take into consideration for him, and some ideas. I have some ideas for her as well.
Awesome. Natalia, thank you so much. And perhaps we could get your contact information and we could have you and Yami meet with Nikki or something like that to explore this option.
Muchísimas gracias, Neke. Muchísimas gracias, Nancy.
And Natalia, please put yourself back on mute. Thank you. Any other questions? I think we don't seem to have any other questions. I want to thank our presenters, Nikki Greenleaf and Jill Tisdale and Savvy and Tundra for being part of our presentation this evening. You all did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Please take a moment to fill out the survey. If you need assistance filling out the survey, you can call our office at 541-548-8559 between 9 and 3, Monday through Thursday, and somebody would be happy to help you out. Thanks again for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It was a wonderful opportunity.
Thanks, Nikki. You did a great job. And
Thank you.
Jill and Savvy, I just want to say, wow, you are an awesome presenter. Look how far you've come.
Thank you. You want to say thank you?
Thank you.
You're awesome. Good job.
Awesome. Great. All right. I'm going to head out. I've got kiddos to go pick up.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
everyone.
Such good
Of course.
information.
Bye, everyone.
Have a
Hi,
good
Heather.
night.
Nice to
Oh,
see
hi,
you.
Heather. I saw you. Hi, Heather.